Maria hasn't come back. I wonder if she's being scolded by Auntie Rosa again. Ever since they had met Maria at the airport, she had constantly been making a huge fuss about Halloween. William, thanks so much for the 1,000 bits. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. But it seemed she had cut loose a little too much, and acted a little too boisterous on the plane, on the boat, and during lunch, because Rosa had warned her several times. In times like that, Auntie Rosa would rarely scold her in front of people. More commonly, she would call Maria into the shadows and scold her when they were alone. Since Maria had been called off somewhere, I thought she must be getting scolded. When they looked at the clock, they realized it was almost 6. They really couldn't imagine that Maria had been being scolded this whole time. Perhaps it had come time for some anime she watched every week to start or something. She had probably just decided to stay in the mansion's parlor. It could be that Battler-sama has woken up and they are playing together.
Well, Maria-chan must have thought of Battler-kun as sort of a new friend. I'm sure she had tons of fun when she played Halloween with Battler-kun at the airport.
Battler was messing around a lot with himself. That dude's gotten big, but he hasn't changed a bit on the inside from how he used to be. That's true. I get the feeling that Battler-sama was gracious enough to remain as he was 6 years ago.
Shannon, you remember how Battler-kun was 6 years ago?
Yes, because he was, well, very energetic.
I also remember how the four of us used to play 6 years ago. Shannon acted a lot like a big sister.
Yeah, I get the feeling she was more level-headed back then. But back then, I didn't know my place, so I must apologize for my poor conduct.
There's no need for all those professional manners. Your work aside, when you're taking your break like you are now, I'd like it if we could all be friendly together like we were back then.
Yeah, totally. There's no reason why you can't separate the servant Shannon from the off-duty Sayo. You aren't a slave. You're just working a job as a servant, right? I think of you, Shannon. No, Sayo, as my oldest friend. Thank you very much, milady. It seemed that Shannon understood what lurked under Jessica's words, because she had heard a little bit from Jessica and Cannon about what had happened between them. Apparently, George had also been informed about that, more or less. George approached the window and looked up at the darkening rainy sky. Cannon-kun is still young, and I think in some ways he tries a little too hard to be mature in his way of thinking. Come on, quit it already! Well, it's my fault too. I think part of it was I got sucked in by the atmosphere. And, maybe after looking at you two, I got a little jealous and I started feeling a little rushed. There might have been a bit of that too. Who cares about me, anyway? More importantly, how's it been going between you two? Looks like it's going pretty good, eh? I wonder.
Yes, it's going very well.
Shannon was lost for words, her face red, while George answered brightly and immediately. That carefree attitude made it obvious that the relationship was proceeding so perfectly, it would make anyone envious. I'm jealous. Does that mean Shannon's gonna be resigning and cutting up a pretty cake soon? A cake pretty soon? I wonder. I don't,
I wonder, right? How could I know?
George laughed like he was being mean and drew closer to Shannon. It was probably the way they usually flirted when they were alone. Jessica could only smile awkwardly and say, Yes, thank you, that's enough. What?
Sorry, I saw that and I immediately thought, like, oh no, is he trying to appropriate?
No!
I have a dream. It isn't only my ambition to become the leader of my own domain in business, I also have a dream to build a family together with a partner I could spend my life with. I want 2 kids at the very least. And I like to do some sports that the whole family could do together. And many more things besides that. I have to talk with Shannon about that kind of thing. Although, every time I talk about that sort of thing, Shannon always laughs and says I'm getting ahead of myself. For some reason, even at the age I am now, I already find myself thinking about my retirement and settling down. With my healthy grown kids and grandchildren running around. About how nice it will be to spend my final years at a slow pace, surrounded by that and together with Shannon forever.
You're definitely getting ahead of yourself. But how should I say it? It sounds like you, Jordan-san. Being surrounded by a family like that would definitely be so wonderful. The ideal family that I painted in my mind when I was younger was something like that. To Shannon, who had been raised in a welfare institute, that harmonious image of a family was probably something she yearned after. And George, who promised that he would definitely grant that wish for her, was surely a fitting person for her to spend her life with. Shannon was an important friend to Jessica. George was surely the one most fit to entrust that friend's future to. Well, I don't want to throw cold water on you guys, but Uncle Hideyoshi aside, what's gonna happen with Auntie Ava? Won't it be tough to convince her?
There's no reason for anyone to worry about something like that. No one can influence my choice of partner. I will make Shannon happy. Whose permission do I need?
Whoa, Jordan-san, that was cool. I can't believe you could say something like this that's so embarrassing out loud. I thought you didn't used to be that kind of character.
Leave a boy for 3 days and you hardly recognize him after all. Even I grow up. I plan to study more and more, to grow to be a more suitable man who can make Shannon happy.
It seemed that perhaps George had some kind of awareness of how embarrassing the words coming out of his mouth were. His face turned very slightly red, and he scratched his head. George-san.
It's alright. I'm sure Mother would be difficult, but you can leave that to me. I'll show you that I can make the whole family accept you as my partner.
Awesome. I'm jealous of you, Shannon, seriously. If you would go so far, then I'm very grateful. Wait a sec. I'm starting to feel like a third wheel here. Maybe it's better I leave. Smiling awkwardly, Jessica stood up from the bed she had been sitting on. And at that very moment, the phone rang. Before Jessica picked up the receiver, wondering what they wanted, Shannon looked at the clock and was taken aback. It seemed that she had taken too long on her break. I am sorry. I forgot it was time for work. If you'll excuse me. At the same time that Jessica picked up the phone, Shannon began dashing out of the room.
Ah, Shannon. Again, same time, same place.
Yes. Excuse me. Hello, it's Jessica. Ah, Genji-san. Yes, Shannon is heading your way as we speak. We held her up, I'm afraid. Please don't scold her. Yes, okay.
I see. So it'll be time for dinner to be prepared soon.
Many plates were lined up on the counter in the kitchen, and preparations for dinner were proceeding steadily. The number of plates that were lined up there was 19. That number was one more than were lined up during the family conference every year.
I can't accept it. Why can't I deliver directly?
Goto was flaring up at Genji, paying no heed to the pot that was boiling over. The master enjoys having his food alone in his study. The food must be set out in the study. Of course, this was nothing new, you understand. Goto-san would like to set the table for the master with his own hands, as he put his heart and soul into his cooking. But the master had imposed a strict rule that none but the servants bearing the crest of the golden eagle were to enter his study. So while Goto could greet the master from outside the study, not once had been granted the honor of carrying his cooking into the study. Goda-san was always unsatisfied with this. Of course, he knows he is a newcomer in terms of years of service. However, he was accumulated plenty of experience from his previous jobs, and he was strongly confident that he would be able to conduct himself properly, even in front of Kinzo, in a way that would not insult him. And yet, just because he is not permitted the Golden Eagle, he still hasn't been blessed with this honor. You could probably imagine what damage has done to his pride. You might think that tonight is a mere resurgence of that old argument, but it isn't. Because tonight there is a person other than the master who wants their food carried to their room. Apparently, this person is a very rare and honored guest, and there had been strict order to treat this person in the same manner as the master, the family head. Goda-san must have wanted to earn some points by serving this honored guest with his own hands. Because he is a person of strong vanity. If he wasn't qualified to serve the master, then at least the guest of the same rank. He simply couldn't make time during lunch, so Cannon had gone for him. Therefore, he truly desired to serve tonight's food personally, the best dinner of the year. But Genji-san had a problem with that. Something about how Goda didn't have the one-winged eagle. After being once again scolded that he wasn't qualified, Goda had lost his patience. How heart-rending, Goda-sama. Goda-san, I cannot do anything more than watch like this from the shadows.
Kumasawa-san, if you have enough free time to dawdle around, please prepare the dining hall. Is the tablecloth ready?
Oh, my apologies. Yoink. When it became her turn to bear the brunt, Kumasawa softly disappeared into the hall with a boing.
Beatrice-sama is of exactly the same rank as the master. We must respect the same rules we respect for the master. Goda, you will devote your attention entirely towards the task you have been given and attend to the family.
I don't mind if it's you, Genji-san, but is it really alright to let a child like this go to such a guest? If she made some blunder, it would be quite rude.
I get that Naruto uses a lot of Japanese in the I wish they drop them in translations, kind of cringe sometimes.
I know that they have served here for a long time, but it's not as though they have undergone a proper apprenticeship. If you allow me to speak freely, they do not have the proper grounding to entertain guests.
Goda spoke bluntly, even though Shannon was waiting right there in the kitchen. Shannon was the one who Genji had ordered to carry the food to Beatrice's room. By the ranking system among the servants permitted the Golden Eagle, Shannon was indeed the second highest ranked. If the highest ranked Genji went to set the table in Kinzo's room, then it fell to Shannon to set the table in Beatrice's room. Goda's pride was always horribly injured when he was confronted with this ranking system. In times like this, he would speak bluntly and rudely about Shannon and Cannon. Goda kept raising example after example of Shannon's past failures, making a ruckus about how this was wrong and that was wrong. As Shannon listened to this in her head, hug in shame, she heard Cannon's voice from behind her. Cannon had been listening from a blind spot, leaning against the hallway side, near the wall near the entrance of the kitchen. He probably knew that if he entered the kitchen, sparks would start to fly his way. Where's the Golden Eagle on Shannon's clothes? Her leg. It's on her leg. I guarantee it's on her leg.
Let him rant. He's a horrible man.
But this helps me to build up a grounding on how to entertain someone. Goda-san has learned a lot, so what he has to say is very...
Ne-san, you sure are nice.
More importantly, is the guest in the VIP room really Beatrice-sama, as they say?
Yes. I met her when I was sent to the table for her during lunch. There's no mistake. It's her.
Really? Is she doing well? Cannon remembered that he and Cannon had different impressions of Beatrice. To Shannon, Beatrice was a cupid of love who granted her magic to create her relationship with George. Judging by her happy expression, it looked like she couldn't wait to inform Beatrice of how her relationship with George had progressed. However, Cannon already knew. that the witch had come here with a terrifying goal in mind. That vague witch, in the past only visible to them, had now walked in and openly through the front door, and had revived enough that they could now carry food to her. In the past, when she had disappeared from in front of Cannon, the witch had said something about her own power was still weak. Now that the witch could appear openly like this, did that mean that she had finally returned to her former power? And she had said clearly that she had sown the seeds of love with the knowledge that it would fail. She had said clearly that the day had fully come when the door to the Golden Land would be opened. Shannon. She will perform some bizarre ritual with the Master, and will surely do something unimaginably horrible. And no one can resist that.
What are you talking about?
She came here, as the Master requested, so that the door to the Golden Land would open, and so that everything could be returned to the Golden Land. She said that to me clearly. In the past, the two of them, as furniture working for Kinzo, had been told what the opening of the door to the Golden Land meant. Therefore, even without asking a single question in response, Shannon understood everything. So, she grew deeply hopeless. Something tore at Cannon's heart as he saw her expression twist with grief.
How could... Why now?
Didn't I tell you? We are furniture. Because you acted like a human, because you loved, you can't obediently accept the day when our service is over.
At one time, I used to wish that this day would come. But it never came after so much time. I didn't know how long we would have to be tormented as furniture. So I thought the day of rest wouldn't come for all eternity.
I thought that too. But I believed that it would definitely come someday. So I never forgot that I am furniture. But Nessan, you forgot that!
It's my fault, isn't it? Mine.
Yeah, it's your fault, Nessan. If only you hadn't known love, we would both be happy that this day has finally come. You built up meaningless attachments, even though it was a world that you would definitely have to leave.
Will the ritual begin tonight?
Yes. Also, she said this to me. Tonight, George-sama will probably give you an engagement ring, Nessan. That was a fact. George would have snuck in an engagement ring in his pocket today, and surely he would hand it over tonight. She joined you together, planning to use you and George-sama as the sacrifices for the second twilight. Understand? Nessan, she took advantage of you by tempting you.
So that was it. Never thought of that.
She told me. She promised that if you don't accept the engagement ring tonight, she won't choose you as a sacrifice. I think that our chances of being able to go to the Golden Land together are very slim. There will be 13 people sacrificed. Only 5 will be left alive. The chances of us both being a part of that group are really slim. However, if you at least can take advantage of that promise, those chances rise higher. I want to take that bet. Our salvation is in the Golden Land. If we can make it that far, we can become human. And I could walk through life as a human together with you, Nessan. If we can do that, we might even be able to achieve true love.
We used to dream about being able to go to the Golden Land, didn't we? If we go there, any wish will be granted. We will be saved from this pain. We believe that.
However, in this ritual, only a few people, chosen by fate and Chance would be invited to the Golden Land. Everyone else would lose their life as a sacrifice midway through the ceremony. But in the past, Shannon and Canon had thought that whether they reached the Golden Land or made sacrifices, it would all be the same, because they would be released from their duties as furniture either way. So in short, the ritual had been something that would definitely grant release to furniture like them. I don't like it. Together with you, I want to take back all the hard times we had. I won't become a sacrifice. You and I will remain alive, and we'll reach the Golden Land together. So I won't let you become a sacrifice for the second Twilight. Please, Ne-san! Don't accept that man's ring! If you don't accept it, she promised not to select you as a sacrifice!
That's something I can't do. Tonight's ring is very special. My heart won't permit me to not accept it.
Ne-san! The witch decides the ritual sacrifices arbitrarily! That witch has promised to overlook you at least, Ne-san! You at least will definitely be able to go to the Golden Land!
Me, at least? What about you, Kanon-kun?
The witch's game is enough for me. I'll slip through her evil hand. I'm not powerless. I'll grab that small chance and I won't let go. After all, our lives are temporary, aren't they? In order to begin our real lives, let's make it to the Golden Land. And let's gain our humanity. And then, maybe, like you, Ne-san, I'll be able to know love. Maybe I won't have to call myself furniture and make people cry anymore.
Kanon-kun.
I don't want to be furniture anymore. I'm gonna become human. No more pain. I'm gonna end it all.
Why doesn't Shannon just reject the ring, then go to the Golden Land and wish to be human and be George forever? Because there's no guarantee George will be able to live in the trials. Because remember, it's one couple, but that's 2 people out of the 13 who have to die. There are still 11 individuals who have to die, and George can absolutely be one of them. There were tears in Cannon's eyes. It had taken Cannon a while now to notice. Shannon had been the only one to know and suffer the taste of love. He had too. The tears Jessica had shown him that day, and her painful smiles on all the days as she tried to smooth things over and brighten her mood, had slowly wrought some kind of change on Cannon's heart without him knowing it.
Shannon, I've been calling you for ages.
Shannon snapped to reality at the sudden sound of Genji's voice. Apparently she had been called for repeatedly. She hurriedly answered. When she turned around, Cannon had disappeared. It seemed he didn't feel like showing his tears to anybody.
Yes. I'm sorry for being distracted.
I had Cannon handle lunch. By properly speaking the next rank after me, you should have been the one to take it to her. Beatrice-sama is most honored guest of this house. There is no more honored guest than her. Please, think of her as another master of the mansion and be polite.
I must impress I must impress upon you once again. Please be very careful not to make any blunders, even though I'm the one that's probably causing the blunders anyway. It was quite painful for me to entrust this to someone inexperienced as yourself, but there's nothing we can do about the house's rules. I am sincerely counting on you.
Goda had officially agreed, but he threatened Shannon with an expression that told her that he wouldn't forgive any mistakes. Shannon, too, thought that Goda should do it if he wanted it to that much. But considering that it was her responsibility as the one who had been granted the Golden Eagle, she had to accept. She had to give up. Besides,
I wanted to meet Beatrice. What will I talk about? What will I ask? I don't know. Will I show gratitude? Or else grief? Or else... what? I don't know.
Shannon loaded the witch's food on the serving cart and left the kitchen with a slow gait. The person knocking was Kraus.
Father, today is our annual family conference. Haven't the siblings gathered here to get a chance? Haven't the siblings? Haven't the siblings gathered here to get a glance of you, Father? Be silent. I have told you I won't leave. I imagine that you are there, Genji. Why haven't you had my food brought here as I ordered you to?
Kinzo screamed at the door. Genji was waiting behind Kraus.
Your meal has been prepared so that it may be carried into the study. However, Kraus-sama wishes for you to go downstairs tonight.
Father, I don't mean every day. Even if it's just for tonight, won't you gather together with your family? Who are you calling family? When did you start calling those vultures who wait for me to collapse and die family? When did you start calling rotting, gushing maggots family?
I know the Lord is right.
For real. You should be a Dio.
My.
Kraus shrugged at the answer, which he half expected.
Genji, carry the meal here as you were told. Why don't you listen to what I say? Why? Genji-san, I will leave the rest to you. My voice will no longer reach him.
Kraus gave his head a small shake and quickly turned his back on the door to the study. He had only called out for his siblings' sake, knowing it was useless. After Genji watched Kraus go down the stairs, he called again through the door.
My lord, we have finished preparations for the meal to be carried here. What about serving for Dr. Nanjo?
Nanjo was also in the study. Because Kinzo had strongly pressed him about resolving their long-lasting chess game, Nanjo had been Kinzo's opponent since before in the evening. Nanjo had announced as a doctor that Kinzo's days were numbered. In that situation, if Kinzo pestered him about finishing a chess game while he was still alive, Nanjo couldn't refuse. Kinzo was thinking deeply about his next move, concentrating more than usual. It had been Kinzo's turn for quite some time, and Nanjo, who was tired of waiting, had started randomly pulling out grimoires so that he couldn't understand and skimming through them.
Kinzo-san, you won't think of a good move just by folding your arms and sitting in front of the board.
I wonder if it wouldn't be good to take a break and refresh our minds.
Be silent. That should be good enough for defense. Will that hole be penetrated by the bishop or the knight? Giggity.
Giggity.
Today, Kinzo was intent on a strong defense. Normally, Kinzo's motto was that offense was the best defense. However, today was completely the opposite.
I am also hungry. Shall we suspend the game here? And I've used my head so much without a break that I'm already feeling dizzy. Any more of this might limit my ability to make my best moves.
That is a problem. In chess, both players must always make their best moves. Other moves are painful to understand and ruin a game that is about reading thoughts. That considerably reduces our enjoyment.
Kinzo sighed deeply, and finally shifted his gaze away from the board. Chess needs an opponent. That opponent was tired and suggesting to suspend the game, so what else could be done? It is true that the goal of chess is for both players to aim for victory and make the best moves possible in order to achieve that. It is an intellectual game of being able to read each other. But Kinzo-san, are you forgetting that there is another goal separate from victory?
What? What goal could there be other than victory?
It surprises me that you would forget even that. Through chess, you get to spend some fun time with your friend, you see. And maybe a little gay sex. I had to, I'm sorry.
You got me. I believe those are words I said to you a long time ago. I shall have to concede that.
Kinzo, who normally wore a frown, surprisingly relaxed his face and laughed. Nanjo felt like he had been reunited with a close friend he hadn't seen in a long time. That's how it is. Now that I've taken a shot back at you, what do you think? Will you go down and eat with me? What do you say about discussing Kasparov's middle game over some coffee?
A good plan, but I will refrain. I can no longer leave this room, because the ritual has begun.
Is that so? Well, my stomach is growling. I will go downstairs. Anytime you feel like it.
Nanjo. Thank you.
Oh, what could you be thanking me for?
We didn't resolve our chess match. However, it seems that I have succeeded in that goal of chess which I forgot. It seems that it was just as important as checkmate.
This isn't like you. Why so sentimental?
You said it, didn't you? My days are numbered. Now, go. And don't come to this room again. We shall continue in the Golden Land.
That is fine. This shall be a rematch. Losing that rook was a serious blow. Well then, I will see you later.
Yes, later. Maybe in the Golden Land, or in Purgatory, or in the next world.
Nanjo didn't say anything beyond that. And with a practiced hand, he pushed the button on the table that would release the auto lock. And after looking at Kinzo's back one last time, he left the study. As he did, Genji's voice came from the hall.
Well then, my lord, I will now carry in your dinner.
It may be my last supper. I must savor it. Please, get it ready.
Certainly. Are your own preparations in order, my lord?
Indeed. I spent my time until today wrapping this room in a multitude of rigorous barriers. Even if that roulette chooses me, I will definitely repel it. I will remain alive, and I will definitely become one of those who reach the Golden Land. I will reject the visitations of the gods of death who try to drag me off to Hades.
Excuse me. I have come to prepare your meal.
Shannon entered the VIP room, bowing her head and pushing the serving cart. The young woman by the window, apparently gazing out into the impenetrable darkness outside, was unmistakably that witch. So it is Shannon this time. How nostalgic. Oh, your countenance has improved quite considerably, has it not? Unlike canon, almost beyond recognition.
Thank you very much.
Shannon solemnly prepared dinner. There were actually several things that she wanted to ask and talk with the witch about, but those things were all jumbled up and she didn't know where to start. Her heart was also jumbled up with various things. Various? And she didn't even understand her own emotions. Therefore, still remaining vague, all she could do was carry out her work indifferently. However, the witch guessed what was in her heart. You can't hide things from a witch. I won't apologize. Because I am a witch.
For what?
Come. Canon must have told you about it. Helping out your love life was simply my mischievous spirit. It was nothing more than a seed I sowed in order to enjoy witnessing in what manner things would get complicated, become twisted, and fail.
There are some who think it is more fun to hear about love than to have it.
Surely, you aren't trying to thank me.
Yes, I am. No matter what kind of ulterior motive you had when you gave me the magic of love, it doesn't change the fact that you gave it to me. So even if you sowed that seed, knowing that the two of us wouldn't be able to stay together for life, I won't hold a grudge against you.
Furniture truly is uninteresting.
Cooking it into something interesting is where my skill shines.
I don't understand how you think, Beatrice-sama. You are a great witch, and people like us don't even reach your feet. Nor can we even imagine your grand thoughts. But there is at least one thing I can say.
What is it?
Thank you for teaching me to be a human. You said it yourself. I am no longer furniture.
Silence, furniture. If you were a true human, hearing the announcement of your death on the day you were to receive an engagement ring should have had you dancing around mad with grief. But what of you? Your face looks enlightened, as though you have accepted everything. Truly an anticlimax. Furniture.
No. I am not furniture.
Silence, furniture.
I won't be silent. Because I am not furniture.
Are you saying you won't listen to my orders?
Furniture obey orders. But a human decides for herself whether to obey orders or not. So I won't obey your orders.
I'll take back what I said. You really are interesting. If I hadn't sown those seeds, you probably would have allowed the ritual to control your fate without any emotion at all. Now you've grown to be truly interesting, and you entertain me from the bottom of my heart. It's fine, because I have no love for boredom.
I have finished preparations for dinner. Here you go.
Doesn't this look delicious? If Goda makes it to the Golden Land, it may be desirable to commission him as my chief cook.
I heard from Kanon-kun something about if I rejected George-san's proposal, you promised not to make me a sacrifice.
I did. Although, you were an ideal sacrifice for the second Twilight. Shannon cried and screamed, so I should pardon you for that. So I graciously listened to his words, with the condition that you give up your engagement. How gracious I am.
What a foolish condition. What a foolish threat. You bullied Kanon-kun, thoroughly using that, I suppose?
Oh, so you can tell. Apparently, Shannon had seen through it. Apparently, she could imagine how much Kanon had been bullied and humiliated by the witch, with that horrible promise as bait. I made him crawl on the carpet and kiss my toes. Kiss my shoes, rather. And that's not all. Do you want to hear the other ways in which I humiliated him? Shannon silently shook her head.
I have finally come to understand you. You like to bully, confuse, and trouble people, and you do it to entertain yourself. So, I'm now sure that this is the only way to resist you.
What is?
I will have nothing to do with you. I will carry out the fate that has been given to me, so I won't entertain you.
Nothing to do with you? The witch's features twisted in hatred for just an instant. It disappeared immediately. But that expression that rose to her face for only a brief time was unusual for the witch, who had never broken her malicious smile. I suppose that's one way to resist. Interesting. I like it. I'll kill you. Together with your lover.
If that is a fate that you have decided, that is up to you. I won't be afraid of that or go against that. Because I don't believe that the grim fate that will start occurring now is something controlled by your will. We humans don't know anything about our possible future fates. That is how we live to the fullest, following our own beliefs and destinies until the last. Fate is just a roll of the dice. You can't feel malice in it. Try as you might inject some, I won't believe you.
Oh, even though you have stopped being furniture, you have no fear of death. It seems you think that will bore me, but that's a huge misunderstanding. I am now all the more interested to see whether you really can stick to that until your last moments.
It's so frustrating. Why did you take the form of a human, appear in front of us, speak with human words, and ridicule us? If you hadn't appeared in front of us, if you hadn't predicted the future, we would have been able to live life to the fullest until the last moment.
That's what witches do. We live off your fates, reigning as a high-ordered being because of a low-ordered beings. After all, your fates are merely fragments. If we cup our hands together, we can scoop out as many as we want. In the same way that the beef cattle I can raise can babble what they will, and it won't change the fact that they will add splendor to my dinner table.
We are powerless, so we can't go against your ritual or our fates. But I can do something that will make you unhappy right now.
Oh? What would that be?
I will walk away from this place right now. Answering your words only entertains you. Not answering your questions is the only way I can resist you.
I see. You may be able to take a shot at me, but you cannot defeat me, you know. I have the power to kill anyone for eternity. I can't wait to see how long you can keep up that resistance in an endlessly repeating cycle of death and rebirth. Don't forget it now. You spoke those words yourself.
Well then, if you will excuse me. If you have any business, please call me.
Shannon gave a reserved bow, as she would to a stranger, and faced away. With that gesture, maybe she really had taken a shot back at the witch, just as Beatrice had mentioned. Because when the witch called out again, she sounded a little more quick-tempered than she had before. Canon thanked me. Aren't you going to? Not going to thank me for giving you your day of rest?
Furniture will be happy about their day of rest. But I am human, as you see. So I have nothing to thank you for. Will that be all?
You plan to receive the ring from George? Don't forget that if you do, I will abandon the promise I made with Canon, the promise that you would not be selected as a sacrifice.
If there is anything further, I will have someone else come for you. If you will excuse me.
A flat-out interruption. Right? Shannon gave no more answers, and the sound of the door closing came instead of an answer. It seemed that Shannon's resistance had probably struck far more deeply into the witch than Shannon herself had thought, because an expression of hatred had once again risen to Beatrice's face. She had made Canon submit, even though he hadn't been taken in until the end. Yet after that, now it was Shannon who refused to submit, when until now she had been easily taken in. Oh, this is interesting after all. I suppose I'm not so old yet. This is why I'm still not tired of living after 1,000 years. This is literally the nicest way Shannon can say, suck my dick, bitch. Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. No, straight up. Shannon's just like, suck my dick. The most fabulous time in the family conference. It was the dinner. Back when Kinzo had been serious about the family conference, he had placed extreme importance upon this dinner, for which everyone would gather just once a year. Should the dinner not meet standards, he would take it as a deepest shame for himself as the host, and he had strongly ordered Natsuhi to make absolutely sure that it was one to be proud of. Because of that, he and Kraus had employed Goda, who had confidence in his cooking abilities. As a result, they could unveil a wonderful dinner they had confidence in. Yet by that time, Kinzo had started closing himself up in his study, and no longer appeared for dinner. Maybe you could call that ironic. When the main dish for tonight, calf steak, was set out, Goda began to brag about it, further exciting everyone's appetite.
The sauce here is Bordelaise. Of course, the red wine base I used was excellent even among those made in Bordeaux, but in addition I prepared an original blend of this house, a blend of choice alcohols from around the world to further deepen the taste. This sauce will be exclusive to this year. It would greatly please me if you were to enjoy yourselves. Isn't that wonderful? However, isn't Bordelaise sauce common to French cooking? It almost seems like using alcohol from outside France with that is heresy. Kraus-sama. Today is the annual family conference. As a dinner for those who normally live far away and have traveled far from across the world to gather together, I realized that a sauce made from a blend of fine alcohols from across the world that would normally never meet would be most fitting. So I had it specially prepared. Wonderful! A truly wonderful cook, that's what you are. Food and medicine work twice as well if you advertise it right. It's twice as delicious as normal food, and the advertiser makes that twice as good again. The taste keeps doubling and doubling.
Come on, Nissan. Didn't she see that question coming?
No doubt. You let Goda-san run right off with your moment. Is that so? I just thought there might be some people here who didn't notice that today's food was in the French style. And just now, Eva said that not using butter was a virtue, but that's the Spanish style. Well, I guess they do share a border, right?
That's not what I meant. Will you please not take part of the conversation out of context and misquote me?
No.
It's a very delicious sauce. Goda-san, you certainly are wonderful.
It is a great honor to receive your praise. And this is all thanks to Madame's habitual guidance.
No, it was all Goda's idea. I only listened to the recipe and approved of it. It looked like the siblings quickly got into a loud argument about something as trivial as the sauce. But for the most part, dinner proceeded peacefully. However, the thing that they all really wanted to ask about smoldered inside each of their hearts. And that was the visitor, the 19th person. The Golden Witch. In actuality, Eva, Rudolph, and Kyrie were on alert during dinner. If the mystery guest was to be introduced, this dinner table was the most appropriate place to do it. However, no plates had been prepared at the table for the witch. The family conference would begin in earnest after the meal, and previous experiences told them that it could last until deep into the night. But they couldn't understand what meaning there could be in keeping this person, who should be introduced, hidden until late at night. So Eva, Rudolph, and Kyrie started to suspect something. The guest might actually be unknown to Kraus as well. If she wasn't a saboteur called by Kraus to give him an advantage in the inheritance problem, they should probably speak frankly to Kraus beforehand, and create a common front to resist anything disadvantageous to the four siblings. If she was Kinzo's saboteur, whose purpose was to keep the inheritance from being handed over to the 4 siblings. The enmity between Kraus and the older siblings would become nothing more than a weak point that benefited the enemy.
Well then, please enjoy at your leisure.
With the table set and cuisine explained, Goda tried to leave the room, but Kirie called him to a stop with a small voice.
Yes, Kirie-sama. And what is it?
I'm sorry. I thought there was a guest here today. Will we not be seeing her at dinner? She had thought she had said it nonchalantly, but unfortunately it reached the ears of Natsuhi, who was sitting in the next seat. It seemed that Natsuhi had heard it to mean, even though there are guests here today, who won't the host be coming to dinner? In other words, that Kirie had asked whether Kinzo was going to come to the dinner. The head's condition is not good, so he said he will take his dinner in the study. My husband explained that at the beginning is something... I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. In an instant, Kirie realized from Natsuhi's reaction that this unknown visitor was also unknown to Kraus and his wife. And what that meant. On the chessboard placed by inside Kirie's mind, she could feel the arrangement of the pieces changing, making loud, clattering sounds.
I guess?
Okay, Snake. It seemed that Battler, who was sitting next to Natsuhi, had heard Kirie's words without misunderstanding them. And he let out a wild voice, questioning who else could have been invited to today's family conference. Thanks to that voice, the uncomfortable feeling in the siblings' chest suddenly exploded. Everyone looked at Goda at the same time. Judging by their appearances, it was obvious that at least no one here had invited that mystery woman. For an instant, Goda was startled to find everyone's gaze gathered on him, but because of his naturally vain personality, it actually gave him a feeling of superiority. Therefore, he answered in an extremely calm and graceful manner.
Yes. She wanted to eat alone in the VIP room, so her food was carried over there.
Therefore, Goda's extremely graceful and reasonable response made it obvious to everyone that a 19th person, a visitor, existed. The VIP room? A guest? What and who are you talking about? Natsuhi's words echoed the question that everyone who didn't know about the visit of the Golden Witch was thinking. Goda was slightly disoriented, as though he hadn't remotely expected to be questioned by Natsuhi. That honored guest had been spoken of so stringently. He hadn't imagined that Kraus and his wife might not have known.
It is Beatrice-sama.
Beatrice! See? Beatrice came!
Maria had been telling the other cousins over and over again that she had met Beatrice today. The cousins had answered, saying, "Isn't that nice?" but they hadn't believed. So, their eyes grew wide.
Sorry. I was sure you were just joking, Maria. So, she really does exist?
By Beatrice, you mean that Beatrice of the Gold?
Ah! I've been saying she exists the whole time! No one believed!
Sorry, Maria-chan. We didn't mean to.
After learning that everyone had doubted Beatrice's existence, Maria, who had been in a good mood all day, completely lost her temper. George, who was sitting next to her, tried frantically to calm her.
Goda, is that another bit of dinner amusement, of dinner entertainment? Quite a good performance. Aniki, drop the act. You called her, right?
What are you two doing, crackheads? I have 2 crackheads here acting cool. Hold on, give me a second. What are you doing?
You called her, right? Called. Called who? From where?
Me-san? Let's have a clear answer. Who is that? Surely you aren't going to tell us that it really is the Beatrice from the portrait, right?
I don't have a clue what you people are talking about. Goda, is this seriously not a joke? I was just ordered by Genji-san.
Call Genji.
Now!
When Natsu yelled, Gota shot out into the hallway. The sound of the door being thrown open at the same time triggered a sudden uproar around the dinner table.
So you say you didn't know it either, Aniki? Who called her? Was it Dad? I don't know anything about this. It seems that you people believe that I've been pulling the strings behind the scenes, but that's a huge misunderstanding.
Calm down, Chris Nissan. We aren't at the stage where we can sound each other out some anymore. If you're saying that you don't know this mystery person either, this situation becomes ridiculous.
Hideyoshi-san, won't you be a little more discreet with your words? My husband would not invite unnecessary people to the family conference. Honestly, who are you people talking about? Are you saying that the witch of the portrait has broken out of her frame and appeared? There's no way anyone has actually met this witch.
I met her. Ava and Rudolph nodded at Rosa's proclamation.
I met her too! Uncle Cross, believe! Believe, Mama!
Brief tension was broken, and Maria had also started to make a ruckus. The room was by now chaotic.
I don't have a clue what's going on anymore. So what's going on? The witch who gave Grandfather the gold is appearing as a special guest in this year's family conference?
But really? Auntie Rosa didn't see wrong, did she?
I met her too!
Auntie Rosa, are you sure? Yes. Mari and I met her, and even talked to her. I met her. It was definitely a witch. Believe me, I definitely didn't see it wrong or hallucinate or anything. What was that? An instant before the typhoon vanished, Rosa had definitely met with the witch in the rose garden, but the scene had been so hard to accept as reality, and the more she spoke of it like this, the less she understood what it was she had met. Ironically, because she had lost her composure when she said she had definitely met the witch, the more desperate she became, the more vague the witch's existence seemed. So it was a single composed sentence that affirmed her existence for certain. For certain? Certain. I met her as well. We exchanged greetings. Well, they could hardly be called that. A few words, at least. It's definitely not something that Rosa-san saw wrong.
Kiryu-san, are you serious?
Yes. But she didn't tell me her name, so I can't conclude that she was Beatrice. However, sorry if this is subjective, but since I met her in the entrance hall, I was able to compare her face with the portrait. My first impression was that she was undoubtedly the portrait's subject. This is all just subjective, remember. That isn't possible! In the first place, where did that woman come from? The only boat today was a round-trip journey of the one that escorted you all here. Was she riding on that boat?
I admit that's a bit of a weak spot. Of course, I have no memory of such a woman getting off the boat with us.
Oh, is it really? How can you prove that there wasn't a boat other than the one we rode in on? You can't. You can't prove one didn't come.
That's right. You could prove that it came. Someone who saw it just has to say so. But you can't prove that it didn't come.
Jesus Christ. I swear to God!
Even if everyone says that it didn't come, that they didn't see it, you can't deny that it could have come secretly.
I hate you.
It's it's the thing that they call the devil's proof.
Hey, remember that! It's easy to prove that a devil exists. All you have to do is meet a devil. But it's impossible to prove that devils don't exist. Just because no one has ever met a devil doesn't mean that you can deny the possibility that they are hiding away somewhere that humans cannot go.
I know, right?
You can't deny the existence of aliens for the exact same reasons. Until humanity searches the whole space and can show perfectly that aliens don't exist, you can't be sure that they don't.
That's what Area 51 is for.
And it's definitely impossible for us to ever check the entirety of space for the existence of aliens. Therefore, while there may be a number of ways to prove that aliens do exist, it is impossible to show proof that denies their existence.
In that case, we would just be wasting our time discussing whether or not a boat separate from the one we rode on came to the island. She wasn't on the boat with us. That much is a fact, and she must have visited this island through some other means.
That's right. There may be no need to discuss how she came here. The essential point is the fact that she actually is in this mansion now and doesn't feel like having dinner with us.
Let's review. Right now, there was another guest on this island other than the 18 of the Ushiromiya family. And that is a guest that even Aniki and Natsuhina-san don't know about, right?
I don't know! I don't know what you are talking about!
Be silent for a while. Your headache will get worse. It is as if my wife says. I have no idea what you people have been talking about up until now.
Then there can be only one answer. Father called her. For today's family conference.
For the family conference? And for what reason?
I don't know that! I thought you knew Nissan, that's why I thought I'd question you!
Hey, well, could you give it a rest? Kraus Nissan says he doesn't know. This is what we've got. Father stealthily invited the witch of the portrait as a secret guest, and Rosa-san met her, Maria-chan met her, and Kiria-san met her too. That's all we know for now. If she has something to say to us, she could just quickly show herself. So what I want to know is why in blazes she shut herself up without greeting us. You think maybe Dad never had any interest in the family conference from the beginning and just secretly called the new mistress here? And had her dress up as his ideal witch? Nah, this day holds too much significance to come to that conclusion.
There can only be one reason. Join in on the family conference. She wants to claim some of Father's inheritance. Preposterous! The head would never have thought of something as filthy as a mistress!
I told you to be silent. I've been in this position with Father for considerable time, and I haven't heard about this once. Let me humor you as best as I can. You say Father had a hidden child with the mistress of several decades past, and Father searched her out and called her here today. Is that what you want to say?
Dear! Father would never have something like that! To waste the noble blood of the Ushinomiya family on a mistress! There's nothing more than a few people of saying that they saw something! It's obviously a fantasy, a delusion, a daydream! Or are you all taking part in some kind of act to entrap my husband? What act? If someone is acting, it's you!
Quit it, Aniki. She said it in a slightly reckless way, but Natsuhi-san is correct. Kirie saw her, but I did not. Neither did you, Aniki. But Rosa did. However, that means she exists. Because there is someone who can prove that she exists, we directly conclude that she exists. It's the opposite pattern of the devil's proof. And I want to meet her too. And I want to ask her directly what kind of business she has with the Ushiromiya family. I agree with you on that. I truly wish to inquire as to what business she has on Rokenjima.
Don't act like you don't know! She's after one thing! It's Father's inheritance! We should form a forward-looking strategy with a lawyer knowledgeable enough to inheritance issues! If the mistress claims the same rights as Mother, then our shares will be cut right in half! Oh, wait a second, everybody! Kenji-san will come very soon. He knows everything. I'm sure he will answer our questions. Until then, let's stop talking about this. Now, come on now, kids. Sorry, but we adults have to start talking about something a little complicated. Go back to the guest house. Rosie yelled at the children, slightly emotionally. The children didn't even understand why they were being suddenly yelled at now, but Eva and the rest came to the realization of as Rosa after a delay. They were talking so grandly about a filthy topic of inheritance in front of the children. There was no way they'd want their children to remain here. So they all immediately agreed with Rosa's plan.
That's right, just as Rosa-san says. George, take all the cousins and go back to the guest house. You all play nice together, you hear?
George, do as you're told. Take all of the cousins and leave right now.
Wait a second, Mother. We haven't even finished eating yet.
We still haven't had dessert!
We will have Goda-san carry dessert to the guest house. So leave. Jessica, from here on, the adults will be talking together. Go. Fine. Even though I was only half eaten.
So I guess I'm not gonna be the only exception.
Thank you for understanding, Battler-kun. But you're lucky, you know.
Huh? Why?
I'd want to leave if I could.
Why are you saying that with like that fucking like grimace?
That moment of, shit. Yeah, you're right. It's like a, yeah, you're right.
I bet you would. I'll let you adults enjoy your happy family chat about the inheritance.
I will also leave my seat. It appears I have no place here tonight. Nanjo softly rose from his seat. He had been calmly watching the whole discussion from his seat at the farthest corner of the table without pointlessly interrupting. His reaction was very adult, like a calm old gentleman. When Nanjo rose from his seat, it urged the other people who were supposed to leave. As the children noisily rose from their seats, a commotion was heard in the hallway as the servants returned.
I apologize for taking so long. I have called Genji.
I was checking to see that all of the doors and the windows were shut, so it took me some time. My apologies.
Come on, children, to the guest house. Goda-san, I'm very sorry, but could you carry the desserts for the children to the guest house?
I see. Is that what you wish?
It seemed that Goda did not appreciate that the dinner he had worked so hard on was going to be interrupted like this. He sent Natsuhi a look as though asking her whether it was really alright. Do as Ojo says. Also, it is not necessary to set the dessert for us. Be sure not to approach the dining hall until we call you. Tell that to the rest of the servants too. Understood?
Yes, certainly.
Come, everyone. Shall we go? Maria-san, you too. You must not trouble your mother any further.
I want to talk about Bento! No!
Marie-chan, will you tell us about Beatrice in the guest house? I really want to hear more about the witch. Okay?
You're really good, George Nissan. I'm impressed.
Are you sure you don't have kids? You're too used to this.
Maria's mood was completely back to normal at George's words, and she even took the initiative in hurrying everyone to go to the guest house. It looked like Goda didn't like being kicked out himself, but he was unable to disobey Natsuhi and left the room with Battler and the rest, closing the door.
Do you all have some business with me?
Yes, we do. A bunch of it. And that goes for all of us. So much that we almost want to draw lots to see who asks the first question.
Though I believe that no matter who draws the winning lot, the first question would be the same. No doubt. Genji-san, answer us honestly. This woman called Beatrice in the VIP room now. Who is she?